Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Thursday, October 2nd, just about 4:45 in the afternoon, and this is our daily recap video for weekly paying Roundhill high yield funds. The first three are 0DTE covered call strategy funds based on the indexes, QDTE for NASDAQ, NASDAQ 100, XDTE for the S&P 500, and RDTE for the Russell 2000. You'd think after months and months of introducing these videos that I would have this down by now. YBTC is the fourth. It's a Bitcoin covered call strategy. Works a little different than the other three, so we'll get into that once we get to the spreadsheet. Reminder, I'm on X at ETF_Inspector1. I retweet or repost things from any of these ETFs, high yield ETFs. I let you know the trades for the 0DTE funds, and I let you know when videos are coming out because X seems to get that notification out to people a lot quicker than YouTube does. So follow me on there if you don't already. I was one of those that held out most of my life without getting a Twitter or X account until I actually made this channel. So it's nice for financial information, even if you want to just ignore the rest. All right, let's take a look at how the markets performed today. It is Dividend X day for, the 30 DTE funds, and then it's actually Dividend Pay Day for the fourth YBTC. So all of them will have opened up whatever the dividend was lower than yesterday, but that doesn't get counted as a loss. So their start number is basically the it's basically yesterday's end minus the dividend. So that's why it's going to end up closing lower today than yesterday, but still be considered up because its starting point is not yesterday's finishing point. That's how any dividend stock goes on X day. All right, so let's see how they performed in general. NASDAQ 100 was up 0.37%. QDTE was able to outperform, going up 0.42%. So Roundhill did better. S&P was up 0.06%. XDTE more than doubled it, up 0.13%. Russell 2000 was up 0.66%. I don't know what's going on. I can't stop coughing. RDTE just about kept up 0.59%. And it doesn't make a lot of sense as to why it should have actually outperformed, but we'll get into it. And then finally, YBTC is based off of IBIT. IBIT was up over 3%, 3.04. Not going to keep up. YBTC just about flat, only up 0.09%. And again, if you haven't been watching this week, I'll be able to let you know why that is. If I can stop coughing. All right, we'll start off by looking at the trades on the 0-day funds. So QDTE sold 391 calls on the NDX with a strike price of 24,950. They got smoked yesterday, so definitely had to sell nice and high today. NDX closing 24,892. That's below the strike of 950, so it doesn't cost anything to close out. They collected $9.64 per share premium, or $376,000 on the front end. Didn't have to pay anything back, so it results in a full profit on the day. Unfortunately, they are buried deep in the negative and no chance of recovering for the week. But that is the reason why the QDTE is able to outperform, because everything they're holding, they're synthetic, they're deep in the money, long-dated calls are going to move up with the underlying NASDAQ 100, but then they also brought in the money from the trade, so that's why they outperform. Since yesterday, 80,000 shares dropped off the outstanding shares, so people selling out of the fund. Still just a little over 27 million shares outstanding. $956 million in assets under management. And at the start of the day, the NAV was 35.40. Obviously, it went up from there. with the share price closing at 35.57, kind of following along with the NASDAQ. Yesterday was announcement day. So that's where we talked about the most recent declared distribution. Today was X day. So as long as you owned the shares when today started, then you'll be getting that 20.7 cents per share dividend tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow, Friday, is when I make the estimate for next week. But other than that, no changes in the holdings. They're all just going to go up in value based on the fact that the NASDAQ was up today. Next, we've got XDTE. So they sold 617 calls on the SPX with a strike of 6,740, collecting 208 per share, or 128,000. SPX closed at 67.15. That's well below the 67.40. Doesn't cost anything to settle it out, and they got to keep the full 128,000. But again, they are deep in the negative for the week with no realistic chance of getting out of that hole. When we look at their holdings, slight change. They did sell 4 of their deep in the money calls with the nearest expiration December 19th of this year. They are 607.51. Those are flex options. They have access to things we don't. So there's 4 less than yesterday. Other than that, all the same. 40,000 less shares on the outstanding shares. So people selling out of the fund yesterday. 9.4 million outstanding shares, 415 million in assets under management. At the start of the day, the NAV was 44.08. It went up just a little bit on the day. Again, it was able to outperform because everything they held went up. Plus, they brought in money from selling calls that they did not have to give any back. So that's why they were able to beat it. Again, today, X day, 17.1 cents. Tomorrow is payday for that, unless you are one of the unfortunate ones whose broker makes them wait until the following week to receive their distributions. Forgot to, the only obviously change here, they put another $1 million into First American government funds that was not there on the previous day. The day before, they only had the weekly T-bills and cash. All right, RDTE. This was the only one that was pretty close. They sold calls, 681 of them on the Russell 2000, man, with a strike price of 2,460, collecting $1.27 per share, or $86,000. Russell 2000 closed just below that 2460 at 2458. So it was close, but didn't have to pay anything out. Got to keep the money. That makes 4 for 4. All trades so far this week have been wins where they didn't have to pay anything back. Let's just get a quick... Oh, that was not what we were trying to do. I don't know why this doesn't want to participate. There we go. So far this week, they've made 648,000. That's not going to amount to much when you have to disperse that among almost 5 million shares. So I'm not sure what the strategy is here. They're not selling them, collecting enough premium to make the payments. So we'll see. All right, when we look at the holdings, we got some changes. They bought 11 more of these deep in the money calls with the December 18th of 2026 expiration date. So that increased by 11 now. So they're just kind of taking money that's been invested, putting it to work by buying the deep in the money call. Then that allows them to sell calls off of that. There's 4.8 million outstanding shares, like we said. $164 million in assets under management. Here's where some things don't make a ton of sense. The NAV at the start of the day, 33.52. So to go up and end at 33.48 doesn't make sense. So generally, we always point out is that the website is slow to update their holdings. So obviously the answer here is that the people must have sold out of the fund, and that this assets under management is actually being divided by a smaller number of shares, which would equal a, or no, other way around, a larger number of shares. So dividing that out would equal a lower NAV because it went up today, so it would have had to have started lower than where it ended. All right, 36.6 cents. This was an enormous payout, 56% annually. Not sure why. They lost money in the week leading up to this payment. So, and their average is like 22 to 24 cents. So I don't know if they were trying to make a statement or what, but that was a heck of a payment. And so we'll all be getting that 36.6 cents tomorrow. This will be interesting. How much did they went up 20 of it today? So it's almost like the NAV's only going to suffer 16 of those 36 cents. So that's nice. All right, and then last but not least, YBTC. This is actually their payday today, so we all got our 39.96, almost 40 cents per share, over 47% annual yield. There's $327 million in assets under management, 7,410,000 outstanding shares. NAV at the start of the day, 44.20. Then it went up, and the share price ending at 44.19. So again, they're just slow to update these outstanding shares. It's a little frustrating, but it doesn't come out in their download. It only comes out like as an update on their web page. So that's the issue with that. So yesterday, when IBIT crossed that 66.70 price, the synthetic turned positive. Not very long ago, this was going to cost $23 million to close out, and today it went up even more. So when we download the new information late tonight, that will go up into the multiple millions, because now the share price of IBIT is more than $2 above that strike price. So it's going to have intrinsic value of $2.07 times 51,000 contracts times 100 shares per contract. Then it's going to have extrinsic value of the time remaining between now and October 17th. So it will be millions of dollars of value, which is nice. Unfortunately, on the flip side, these calls that they've sold expiring tomorrow at 63.33 are now almost 8% in the money. As of the close yesterday, they were going to cost $17.5 million to close out. They are now going to cost even more than that, obviously, because that was only based on a $3.38 per share price. But we know even if there were no extrinsic value, just intrinsic value, it's going to be over $5.40 just based on the difference between 63.33 and that price. So this is going to cost a ton of money to close out tomorrow, or they're going to have a terrible day, which would then hurt our synthetic. So either way, not going to be a wonderful day tomorrow. A little update. I'm trying to figure out how I want to kind of incorporate WPay into this. It's a little frustrating because Excel is not familiar with almost any of the tickers, so it would be a lot of manual information. As you can see, it only pulls three: the Apple, Coin, and Palantir. All the rest it doesn't recognize. So it would make for a lot of manual entry. And then the other part of it is the math isn't mathing. So when I total up the total value of all their shares and holdings, and it comes up to the assets under management, I divide it by the outstanding shares. It comes out to a NAV of over $60, which it can't be right because WPay is sitting at 54.62, and the markets just wouldn't allow for something that's worth $60.60 to be selling for 54 because everyone would buy it and then turn around and sell it. So again, they are too slow to update their outstanding shares. And with that, then that makes it, knowing that the outstanding shares are always wrong, then I can't ever tell realistically when I put in all the shares and add in all the distributions, how much money they actually have to pay out to make a guesstimate on the payment. So it is a little frustrating. I'm trying to figure out how I can incorporate it because I know WPay's popular, but I don't want to be trying to do math on old information and just keep on getting things wrong when I have no real ability to improve it. So still thinking about it, still looking at it, but can't come up with a great answer right now. So all right, that's all I have for you. This video is getting a little too long, so thank you for watching. Have a great night. Good luck trading tomorrow. Tomorrow being Friday, don't forget to close out any options that are expiring tomorrow, or roll or whatever. Just pay attention. It's Friday. And good luck trading tomorrow. I'll catch you in the next video.